Hello, everyone. And first of all, I would like to give the thanks to the organizer to invite me to give this talk and to present our work. And yeah, and also I would like also to thanks to all my team, because this is a teamwork, and I would like to thanks because without them this is not possible. Yes, today I have the pleasure to show you and to present our work about the characterization of ion migration in perovskite solar cells by X-ray photoemission spectroscopy. And well, it is well known the great efficiencies that present the perovskite solar cells these days. Here there is a figure in which is represented the latest result obtained in the latest devices on perovskite solar cell as a function of the band gap. And what I like to highlight is that well, there is still room for improvement, because this is the Shockley-Quasar limit, and we can see that it is possible to improve even more these efficiencies. And in fact, lately, there are too many papers that they focus, we have to improve the interfaces. The interfaces is the weak part of the devices. And yeah, for sure, it's needed to improve these interfaces, this recombination that is happening there. And this interface, the recombination at these interfaces depend on the charge carriers that we have close to these interfaces. And this charge carrier depends on the ions. They can depend. And for that reason, we are studying, I mean, these ions, they are not going to only impact in the efficiency of these devices, but they are going to also impact in the stability. And we are working we are working on this characterization of ion migration in perovskite solar cells, and we are applying XPS, X-ray photoemission spectroscopy, using lateral heterostructure. And in fact, where is the laser? And in fact, in this talk, first I will explain you why we use this lateral heterostructure. Also, I will explain you why we use the technique of XPS. And after that, I will show you what are the output that we can get from this applying this XPS on lateral heterostructure, and how it is connected to this. How can we get this some output from this? We can characterize ion migration. So here I present you a typical perovskite solar cell structure, in which we have the transport oxide, then we have the electron transport layer, the perovskite, and the hole transport layer, and well, the contact. And if we represent the energy diagram before contacting, so we have the electron transport layer, that is an N-type layer. Here we have the conduction band, the valence band, and the Fermi level before to be contact with the perovskite. Then we have the perovskite. Here I put in a schematic way intrinsic. And then we have our hole transport layer, like an P-type, sorry. And if we put in contact, we have an energy diagram like this. So in this energy diagram, we can see that the electric field is constant across the perovskite in the bulk. So the potential is dropping in a uniform. And in this case, we are considering that this solar cell doesn't present ions, or is really low. But if we have ions, and assuming that they are migrating in an Witry diffusion equation, we can get something like this. So I will say, like, okay, so in our device, in the perovskite, we can have kind of two types of species. Let's say I will simplify, like we have positive species, which could be cations, positive vacancies, and then we have negative species that can be anions or vacancies that are negative. Okay, so by simplification, I will put these are the cations and these are the anions. And if we let them here, they will migrate, and assuming that they migrate with deep diffusion mechanism, we have one contribution that is due to the electric field. So the cations, they will behave like holes and they will go up following the electric field. And then they will have a little bit of component due to the diffusive part. And then the anions, they will migrate like, they will behave like electrons, and they will go following this electric field. They will be accumulating in these other interfaces. And due to this distribution of the charge, we are creating an electric field in the opposite direction of our initial electric field. And this is producing a screening of the electric field. So here we don't have almost electric field. But here we are considering that both of them, they are migrating at the same time. And the point is that what happens if only migrates one of them? So imagine that it's only migrating the positive species, the cations. So the picture that we have now is this one. The energy diagrams, band bending is completely different to the previous one, and the efficiency of this device is not going to be the same like this one. Okay, so in this work, in fact, in this work, we have been analyzing this one, the different situation. This is the perovskite semiconductor. Here we are under short circuit and it is illuminated. And well, we have here, well, a quasi-Fermi level splitting, but well, in any case, here we have the conduction band, the valence band. And if we don't have ions, we are going to have a structure like this. If cations are moving, we will have this band bending. And if anions are moving, we will have the opposite one. So we have like a p-type semiconductor is working like a p-type. I think we have anions and cations. We have almost this picture, and we have a bit of a screening. It's gonna depend of the concentration of ions. But lately, we say, okay, we are assuming that the ions are migrating following the diffusion equation. But also we can say, okay, also it's possible in order to interpret all another experimental data, it's possible that what we have is an ionic distribution. So here we can have the anions and here the cations. And in that way, we will see much stronger this electric field screening in comparison of what when we have that the ions are following this diffusion. And thanks to this ionic distribution, we were able to explain some transient experiments. So, for example, in this work, we explain we were able to interpret non-inverted hysteresis or stellar cells that present inverted hysteresis with the switching or not switching of dipolar distribution of ions. And also we have been interpreting with the diffusion ion migration open circuit voltage decay. So the open circuit voltage decay is a technique in which what we do is like we shine light in our device. We let the solar cell achieve the open circuit voltage, and then we switch off. And when we switch off, what is happening is that everything is recombining and we should go to 0 voltage. But interestingly, in solar cells, what is observed is that there is a really slow decay, well, depending on the device. And but we have this slow decay that is indicated that we have some ions. And with this, for example, this transient experiment is possible to characterize characteristic time for the ions or for the part of the electrons. And here in this plot, we represented the characteristic time as a function of the voltage. Basically, it's the derivative of this slope. And well, it's a simple technique, but we are using all the device. And well, with the diffusion simulation, we were able to explain how is this drop, and well, here in this work, for example, we explain how at the beginning we have this structure. This is the electron transport layer, the perovskite. When we are under dark, then we illuminate it. It's flat. Then the ions will start to accumulate at the interface. They produce a surface band bending. And then when we come back to dark, this ion has to distribute. And this explains this slope. However, still this is like qualitative, and we don't know exactly how these ions are migrating. We don't know what is the scenario that is happening. We guess, but we are not seeing. So the point is that we have a stack of layers, and we would like to see more the perovskite. So in the literature, in fact, there are some lateral structure that structure that has been used for characterize the device. But lately in these works, we have proposed the use of a lateral heterojunction, in which we have in the bottom we have our solar cell, and it is completely we deposit the perovskite on top of all the structure, and as I said, in the bottom we have our solar cell, and on the top we have a surface that is is the reflection, let's say, of what is happening on the bottom. Right, so I will explain how. So in the bottom, as I said, we have our solar cell, and this is the electron transport layer that I said before, that it's an N-type semiconductor. If we put on the top the perovskite, like the perovskite, assuming that is intrinsic, the Fermi level is going, when we put together these two materials, is going to follow this Fermi level. It will follow the Fermi level of the electron transport layer. So we are going to see that what we have underneath, the nature is N-type. If we do the same for the whole transport layer, we have a P-type semiconductor. We put the perovskite, we put it together, and what is happening now is that this Fermi level is going down. It's going to follow the Fermi level of the whole transport layer. So now here we know that what we have underneath, it's a P-type, and if we consider all the structure, what we are seeing here is the reflex of what we have on the bottom. And then once that we know what we have on the top, we are able, by this diffusion simulation, to interpret, to explain what is happening in our solar cell. And okay, so by the point is that, as we said, there are different pictures. Let's say if we have, for example, not too many ions, we will have something like this. We should expect this energy diagram on the top. Then if we have an asymmetry of ion migration, we should expect something like this in a schematic way. And then if we have symmetry of ion migration, we should see something like this, again, in a schematic way. But the point is that, okay, and then how can we measure the surface? So for this, now we have the tool of X-ray photoemission spectroscopy. So if you want to know a lot about this technique, yeah, I recommend to read this work. And basically, it's like, so we have our structure and we illuminate with X-ray the surface. And then we are going to excitate some electrons that they will be analyzed. And and in fact, we are going to get the information of around 10 nanometers, so, or completely the surface. So as I said, we illuminate, we excitate some electrons. These electrons we are going to get in the analyzer. So we will see, okay, here we have a peak. So this came from one of the level, and we get the kinetic energy. We know what is the excitation energy. We are able to evaluate what is the binding energy, because this electron, the electron, we need a conservation of the electrons, of the energy, sorry. And for that, the total energy should be equal to the binding energy, the energy to left this device, plus the kinetic energy that we are getting. And like this, we can plot, well, this is I change it. And we can plot the spectrum of our material. So we should get something like with peak each time that we have in which energy that we have a core level. So in a perovskite solar cell, for example, in this work, we can see one of the spectrums. And here, this is for a perovskite. Well, this perovskite has been degraded, so we can see oxygen, lead, iodine, and these are some of the peak. And it's quite interesting, this peak of iodine, because it's quite, we can receive a high intensity. And okay, so now with this technique, we can know the binding energy, and so we can have information, electronic information, and also chemical information. And now, as I said, our device present a change in the potential, present a change in the, we have this, the potential is changing because we have underneath an electron transport layer and hole transport layer. One is N-type and the other is P-type, so we have something like this. And then if we shine with X-ray here, what we are going to get is this signal. But if we shine light here, so the binding energy, so imagine that we are here in this level, so the binding energy here is this distance, this energy, so it's changing. And with that, what we are going to see is how it's evolving the potential across our device. And also we can say, okay, here we have more, depending of the intensity and the thickness and the width of the Gaussian, we can distinguish the concentration. Well, we can distinguish if we have more or less concentration of this element. And then if we are able to evaluate, to characterize this, to give, we can, with this technique, we can evaluate this profile. We are able then to explain what is the scenario that we have, because we are able to measure the surface, and then we will be able to explain what is the scenario using this photoemission spectroscopy in these devices. So first of all, what we have done is we have made some simulation to check what is the effect of these ions. And in fact, as I showed you before, we should expect something like this in an ideal case, not too much ions. But then if we plot the potential that we should obtain at the surface as a function of the ion concentration, this is what we got. And then, I have to say that this is the potential. So it's the inverse. It's with respect to the energy. So it's, for that reason, we see like this. And well, if we have really low ion concentration, what we are going to see is that we are able to get exactly the shape of the same shape that we are seeing under the bottom. But however, once that we put more ions, what is going to happen is that we are going to have a screening of the electric field in that direction and in this other direction. And these ions will make a flattening of this band. Remember that before I told you okay, if we have some ions, we are going to decrease this potential. So this is what is happening. So in the case that we have low ion concentration, we have this, we can see exactly this built-in potential that was created in the solar cell in the bottom. Okay, and then this is for high. In fact, our experiment that we got in the lab, it is this one is in dashed lines in black and we circled this one. So for these devices, it was clear that there was a really low ion concentration. And then also we simulated that, so we can estimate this ion concentration, but what happened that in an XPS, when we are illuminating the sample, we are illuminating some spot size. So depending of the diameter of this spot size, we can get different information. It's not going to be the same like if our spot size is nanometers, so we can really replicate. And here, for example, here we have the surface potential as a function of the position. So this is the finger. So I didn't say before, but this is the whole transport layer. Here we have the channel. So here is the channel where we have the potential drop. And here we have the other finger. So all the information of our solar cell it's basically in the channel. And if the spot size is nanometer, for example, we should get the same as we have in the simulation. But as soon as our spot size is bigger, what we are getting is information of all this part. So we are getting information of this region and this region, and we are losing. So as much as, for example, here it was 50 micrometer, so 50 micrometer. So we are getting almost the same signal that is from deep diffusion simulation. And then once that we increase the spot size, we are losing information of what we have in the bottom. And then, so if we use, for example, 400 micrometer and our channel is 100, so we are going to see basically, we are going to lose a lot of information. So here I would like to present you another sample that we've measured. Again, we see this built-in potential. So this is, I am representing the binding energy as a function of the position here in the channel. We see again this built-in potential. This slope is quite linear, so we shouldn't have too much ions. Also, we make a mapping of all the structure, and like this we can see, for example, how it is distributed, not only in the part of the channel, but also horizontally. And we can see how here, for example, the potential is it has much higher energy, so we are here. And then once that we go to the other electrode, we are here. And then we have this potential is dropping in a non-uniform way. So this device, for example, it presents really low ion concentration. However, we have measured a lot of samples. This is another one. And in this one, what we obtained, it was a line. And so this is the signal. So these are the Gaussians that I showed you before. And you can see is the maximum of this Gaussian. This is the intensity. So in this case, the maximum of the Gaussian, it's linear. So that means that what we are having is a really high ion concentration that is flattening the bands of our structure. And then we miss a bit of information of what is happening on the bottom. But what we decide to do is like, okay, we are going to apply different voltage in order to see how these ions are migrating, because they will, with the time, they will change the shape of our potential distribution. So we apply 1 voltage, then we apply -1 voltage, and what we have seen is like we have seen reproducibility in some of the samples, which is quite good. And then we have seen symmetry in some of them. So this, for example, it's a case that if we have symmetry, is that because both of the ions, they were migrating in both both of ions, positive and negatives, are migrating at the same time. And so depending of, we are studying different perovskite and see how is this potential drop. But what with this, I want to show you that this technique is able to give us information about how the ions they are distributed. And in fact, also we have analyzed another finger structure like this. In this case, we have 2 millimeters of distance between the fingers. In this other one, it was 200 micrometer. In this one, it was 2 millimeter. And when, in fact, when here I didn't put it, but when it was 0, it was completely again aligned. But once that we put 1 volt, we can see here we have one of the finger, here we have another finger and another finger. So the potential drop is completely uniform. And this indicates that this sample, there is not too much ion concentration in this sample. So it's, and also the perovskite is intrinsic. And finally, with this, I would like to show you, like, in order to characterize ions, we can use transient experiment. We have the point that we have a lot of a stack of layer, and if we really want to like characterize more like how it is the band diagram of our solar cell, and what is the scenario of how the ions they are migrating, one interesting technique is using XPS on lateral heterostructure, and then coupling these diffusion simulations with the result that we get, we are able to estimate or evaluate how much it was the ion concentration and how is the impact. And then so it's quite interesting, like with XPS we are able also to see how it's the potential drop across our device once that we are applying, because at the end this is, for example, how we have our solar cell on the field, and here we can see how the potential is dropping across these devices. And with this, I would like to give you the thank you for your attention, and also thanks my team and also other people that they helped me a lot before in the understanding of ion migration. And that's all for me.